In the headlines, Dowasco management renews commitment to achieving Sustainable Development Goal. Two stalwarts recognized as Lyndhurst Funeral Home marks 32 years of service to Dominica. And Flow customers given a second chance to win cash in the relaunched Baga Money campaign. I'm Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
Avec Flow, gagnez l'argent, on partit l'argent avec Flow. Gagnez l'argent, on gros sac l'argent. C'est juste ça pour gagner un gros sac l'argent avec Flow. And mettez on top up, sign up, quittez yo, et venez joindre Flow. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
Are you still washing your hands regularly, wearing your mask in public, and practicing social distancing? 0 cases does not mean COVID-free. Stay home if you're not well to keep others from getting sick. Continue to avoid crowds in public spaces. Always keep your guard up. We're still fighting this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, the Minister for Health has highlighted a number of scenarios besides having an elevated temperature, which would require returning Dominicans to proceed to a secondary screening site at the ports of entry. The Ministry of Health issued these travel protocols on Wednesday to complement the first phase of the reopening of the country's borders.
The other reasons, besides a temperature above 99.8, would be entry with a positive PCR result. Dominicans coming home, even if you're to have a positive PCR result, you may use a charter, and we make allowances and we make arrangements for your entry into Dominica. Besides this, if you enter without a PCR result, yes, you'd proceed to the secondary screening site. If you have an invalid PCR result, you will proceed to the secondary screening site as well. If you're determined to be high risk, for example, if you worked in a hospital where there were COVID cases, regardless of you having a negative PCR, you will still proceed to the secondary screening site. Also, refusal to do a rapid test, you will proceed to the secondary screening site. And if you have a positive rapid test, you will also proceed to the secondary screening site. So there are 7 cases where you will proceed to the secondary screening site and not the primary screening site. This secondary screening site is outside of the terminal, and it is at our Port Health building. So I'll repeat the 7 conditions where you will proceed to the secondary screening site. Temperature of 99.8 and above, entry with a positive PCR result, entry without PCR result, invalid PCR result, or if you come from a high-risk group, that means someone who worked in a hospital where there were COVID cases, refusal to do a rapid test or a positive rapid test. All these would proceed to the secondary screening site.
The minister explains what happens at the secondary screening site.
At the secondary screening site, a PCR test will be done. That means a swab will be taken. And if you have symptoms, then you are transported to a mandatory isolation, which can be done at Portsmouth or at our Dominica China Friendship Hospital. If you are asymptomatic, means you have no symptoms whatsoever, then we put you into mandatory quarantine. Whether it's mandatory quarantine or mandatory isolation, you have to wait until you get your PCR results before you are cleared. The intention is to have those results within 24 hours, which is what we have been doing. But in the event that it takes longer, you will not get out until your PCR results have come in and you have been cleared.
In other top stories, customers of Flow Dominica are now able to take advantage of the relaunch of the company's Bag of Money campaign. Fredina Frampton is Marketing and Public Relations Executive at Flow Dominica.
Earlier this year, about mid-February, Flow launched a very exciting campaign called the Bag of Money campaign, or Bag Our Money campaign. And this campaign offered up $30,000 in cash to our qualifying customers who had a chance to win $500 a week, which would go to 2 winners per week, and $10,000 to one grand prize winner and another $10,000 to another grand prize winner. Now, 3 weeks into the campaign, we are all very much aware of the COVID-19 pandemic. So COVID came along and halted the Bag of Money campaign. In the back of our minds, we always had the intention of continuing this campaign. We wanted to stick to our commitment that we had indicated, where we would give $30,000 in cash to our customers. With some level of the new normal in place now, we decided it was time to resume the Bag of Money campaign. And so effective today, Friday, the campaign is back on track, and customers, the same rules apply, the same prizes are on offer. So beginning next week, Friday, we will begin our weekly draws of $500 to 2 lucky winners. On the 7th of August, we will do our first grand prize draw of $10,000, and on the 4th of September, we will do our second grand prize draw of $10,000. We are excited that this campaign is back on track, and we want to encourage our customers to take advantage of all the qualifying opportunities to get into this draw to win either the weekly prizes or one of the 2 grand prize draws that we will be having during the course of the campaign. The campaign will run until the end of August, August 31st, 2020.
So what do you need to do to qualify? Francine Harv is Retail Store Manager at Flow Dominica.
To qualify for the Bag of Money promotion, you simply need to top up $10 or more, activate an always-on prepaid combo plan, sign up for a postpaid plan, and you could also port into Flow. And for some of you who are wondering what is local number portability, it is the chance that the customer has, or the opportunity to move from one service provider to another without losing their number. So in this case, it's moving on to Flow, the best network, so that you can stay connected with your friends and families.
Francine outlined the benefits of switching to Flow.
So for the porting element, you can switch to Flow, the best provider, and you also receive 20 gigs of data, 1,000 calling minutes, 1,000 text messages, and free social media messaging. And by that, we mean Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter messaging. So you get all of that included, and you also get yourself a free handset. So come on down to Flow, port in today.
In other developments, a record number of schools in this year's World Water Day competitions. World Water Day is recognized on 22nd March each year, and in Dominica it is preceded by a week of events spearheaded by the Dominica Water and Sewerage Company, DOWASCO. Water Resource Officer DOWASCO, Louise Alfred, says though the COVID-19 pandemic severely hindered the plans by the company, it also brought about the importance of water in fighting the virus.
Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, our Water Week activities scheduled for March had to be significantly scaled down to the school, poster, and essay competitions. Initially, like Mr. Entinoff also mentioned, we had a grand exhibition planned. We had site visits for the students as well. However, despite this disappointment, after much planning, the pandemic did bring to the forefront the importance of water, which through hand washing has been deemed an essential step in combating this virus.
The poster and essay competitions were held under the theme Water and Climate Change.
This year, though, we had a record number of schools take part in our competitions. We had 15 students from 9 schools participate in our poster competition. And we had 14 students from 11 schools participate in our essay competition. We would like to congratulate all the schools and students who participated, and we look forward to your participation and from more schools as well in the coming years.
In the primary school poster competition, the Bagatelle Primary School emerged victorious, while the Roseau Primary School placed second. The Grand Bay Primary School won the primary school essay competition, and the St. John's Primary School came in second place. St. Mary's Academy was the only high school to participate in the secondary schools poster competition. In related news, a renewed commitment to achieve Sustainable Development Goal number 6. Julian Morris explains.
The Sustainable Development Goals are a collection of 17 global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. SDG 6 specifically calls for clean water and sanitation for all people. General Manager of the Dominica Water and Sewage Company, Bernadette Inoff, says the company takes very seriously the attainment of SDG 6.
We at DOWASCO have taken this thing very seriously, and in Dominica we are way ahead of many of the countries in terms of our water coverage, our sanitation services, the quality of our water, and of course the affordability. Dominica is one of the places water is very, very affordable. That's why sometimes we waste so much, and sometimes fail to even pay for what we get. But it's our obligation to provide water to our citizens, and we take pride in doing so.
Dominicans are reminded that the country is blessed with a bountiful water resource, and it is incumbent on the public to play their role in preserving the water resource.
We are privileged in Dominica to have water in abundance, I will say. Some people say 365 rivers. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but I subscribe to the fact that we have an abundance of water in Dominica. But there are countries where it's very different, and millions of people go without water and also without sanitation services. So there's a need for each and everyone to play their role in ensuring that everyone has water and everyone has access to basic sanitation services. There is also the need for us to preserve the water that we have, to conserve and to preserve that future generations will not be underprivileged.
DOWASCO has a number of ongoing efforts to raise public awareness on the importance of water and Water Week, leading up to World Water Day recognized on the 22nd of March.
The purpose of World Water Day, of Water Week really, is to create greater awareness of the importance of such a vital substance as water and sanitation services for the well-being of every citizen, in fact, every human being. It also highlights the challenges faced by countries to get good quality potable water to their citizens. And among those challenges, you have the scarcity of water, you have shortages occasioned by many different things. Of course, you have the cost of doing business as opposed to the cost of doing nothing sometimes. And a lot of times countries fail to do, and hence people suffer.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
With Flow, when a bag of money cash out, get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow. Yo, check this. Flow is giving away $30,000 in cash. Oh, yeah. 2 bags of money plus a grand every Friday. With Flow is better every day, and now we're making parties great. That's 3 ways that you can play. So listen up. Top up. $10 or more. Sign up. Just switch to Flow. Get a plan. 1 gig or more. If you want to win cash galore. With Flow. Win a bag of money. Cash out. Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow. So top up, get a plan, or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
Are you still washing your hands regularly, wearing your mask in public, and practicing social distancing? 0 cases does not mean COVID-free. Stay home if you're not well to keep others from getting sick. Continue to avoid crowds in public spaces. Always keep your guard up. We're still fighting this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Welcome back. Two stalwarts in the funeral home industry to be recognized posthumously this weekend. Julian Morris has that story.
Lyndhurst Funeral Home, the second largest funeral home in the country, will be recognizing its 32nd anniversary on the 18th of July. The home was established in 1988 to meet the country's needs for funeral home services. Manager of Lyndhurst Funeral Home, Josephine Dublin Prince, says over the years the services offered at Lyndhurst has evolved and there is a growing need to cater to Dominicans who are unable to afford the bare minimum for funeral services.
I usually think beyond the dead person. Sometimes you say let the dead bury the dead, but the person who have lost a loved one is not just bury the dead. So we have actually, even in some cases, do a lot of pro bono work. For example, there are some persons who really do not have the means to bury. So it's a combination of social work, burying your loved one in a dignified way, but yet looking at those who cannot and assisting as much as possible.
The COVID-19 pandemic, which sent Dominica into lockdown mode earlier this year, did not significantly impact operations at the funeral home.
Persons need to wear masks. We ensure that the hand sanitizing equipments are available, and we try social distances and as much as possible, to the extent that we have a chapel, and the chapel was used a lot, and we just probably have 10 persons utilizing the chapel and have a tent outside to accommodate others, but actually respecting the social distancing. We would have probably, especially for persons whose loved one died in Dominica and they were not able to, the funeral would continue, but it would have an additional cost for the persons overseas because we would be assisting in streaming the funeral, which is an additional cost.
Among the activities to mark its 32nd anniversary is the renaming of the home's chapel in recognition of two of its long-serving members.
Mr. Cecil Massicott was one of the very long-serving persons, members, who has since passed. He died on the 24th of December 2017. So we will be unveiling a plaque in his name and also in the name of Mr. Francis William, another employee who have worked from inception, but they have since passed. And we will be naming the chapel in their honor, Mr. Cecil Massicott and Francis Williams Chapel.
The Minister for Health has reiterated some of the guidelines intended to ensure a safe reopening of the country's borders. Minister McIntyre is expecting full compliance with the protocols announced this week.
Vehicles will only be permitted to enter the air and sea port with the driver and persons due to travel. And at the entry of all the ports, temperatures will be taken of the travelers as well as the taxi drivers, all persons entering the ports. Travelers must wear a mask at all times. Even if when you're in the departure, you must wear a mask at all times. Travelers must observe physical distancing. Whether you're passing through the immigration, you must observe physical distancing at all times. Travelers should practice good respiratory and personal sanitization while in the airport. Follow all the instructions from healthcare staff and the officials. If we can adhere to all these protocols, and if we can just follow all the guidelines, I think we can have a safe reopening of our borders.
And the chairman of the shareholder governments of Liat, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, says considering its 600 employees, Liat needs an orderly liquidation. Dr. Gonzalez says when Barbados said it could no longer invest in Liat, it became clear to him that liquidation was the way to go.
The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Prime Minister of Dominica, and the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines did not say that they had the money to put in to stem the losses, step up to the plate, to do anything to rescue Liat. So the only question really staring us, are you going to have an orderly liquidation or are you going to have a disorderly liquidation? And anybody in business will tell you that it is always preferable to have an orderly liquidation as distinct from a disorderly one.
Gonzalez says there are many factors which would have made Liat a problematic investment using the normal business criteria.
The challenges include the following. The market for the region is small and fractured. Liat, even when in its later years, later 2019, sought to cut out many of the unprofitable social routes. It still had unprofitable social routes where they did it because, A, for the network purposes, the connectivity, but also to aid regional integration and air transport in the community. The problem was no other government other than those major shareholders was prepared to put in any money as equity or as market support. And other governments had been putting in market support for other airlines, American Airlines, British Airways, Virgin, and so on and so forth. So that's the second problem. So a small number of countries bearing the burden. Then there are a number of legacy issues in management and labor, which lead to uneven productivity. There was overstaffing, though we did reforms to cut down the number of staff members. Escalating costs, one kind or another. Sometimes it might be fuel, other times is a cost related to climate change.
Gonzalez says, added to Liat's long list of challenges, there are the weaknesses in the regional economy.
In fact, that is what prompted the Prime Minister of Barbados to say, listen to me, guys, I can't put any more money in this thing. And Barbados has been carrying a lot of weight in the recent years. He said, look, I'm on a tough IMF program, the Prime Minister of Barbados said. I can't do it, I just can't do it.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Are you still washing your hands regularly, wearing your mask in public, and practicing social distancing? 0 cases does not mean COVID-free. Stay home if you're not well to keep others from getting sick. Continue to avoid crowds in public spaces. Always keep your guard up. We're still fighting this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
With Flow, when I bag our money, cash out. Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
Yo, check this. Flow is giving away $30,000 in cash. 2 bags of money plus $1,000 every Friday.
With Flow is back.
plan or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, the headlines again. Dowasco management renews commitment to achieving Sustainable Development Goal. Two stalwarts recognized as Lyndhurst Funeral Home marks 32 years of service to Dominica. And Flow customers given a second chance to win cash in the relaunched Bag of Money campaign. Feel free to access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Andrea Louis. And to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend.